Welcome, my name is Andreas Patikis and I'm the founder of the Grey Cotswolds, where we offer unique courses and retreats around stress and well-being, anger management, parenting and sports performance for a healthier mind and body. Our venues are set in the beautiful and relaxing Cotswolds countryside with luxurious private dining and facilities. Our specialist team have vast knowledge and experience with beneficial therapies and advice, all in one place, to help with any challenges and empower you for life. Discover a new way of living through our podcasts and prepare to enter a world that is not black and white. Let us accept the colours in between. Welcome to the Grey Cotswolds. Welcome everyone. Today I've got Chris Evangelou, a champion boxer, sitting with me, and we're going to be talking a lot about boxing. But Chris has also been in films such as Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman, and we're going to talk about that later. So Chris, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm well. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, and good to have you here with me today to have a good chat about boxing and I suppose the mental and physical well-being around it, your journey and experience. And we're in this venue, which is Egg, which is a club which is a mile from where I grew up. And this place has gone through COVID, it's gone through the difficulties of recessions and so on. And it's ridden that storm, still here, successful. It's been resilient, and it brings me, you'll see why I'm saying all of this, to the title of our podcast today, which is Roll with the Punches. So rolling with the punches, what does that mean to you?
Just getting hit, being taken off course maybe sometimes, but keep going. You know, you can never predict life, and I think if you try to, you're going to fail a lot more. You just have to again roll with the punches, make plans, but understand that things might not always work out the way you thought they were or they would have. But yeah, that's in a nutshell what it means to me.
Having that flexibility. So let's start with some background. Where did you grow up? How was your upbringing?
North London. I was in Wood Green, Turnpike Lane for the first sort of 21 years of my life, and then I moved to sort of I'm on the line of Edmonton and Palmer's Green, where I still am. But most of my days are in Cockfosters, which is a bit of a different world to what I grew up in. But me and my brother own a gym there, so we're in that side of the part of town now, which is great. It's going really well. It's busy, but yeah, that's where I grew up. Sort of, I've always been a North London boy myself. Yeah,
a lot of us are around. I know the areas very well.
Yeah.
So me growing up. And I've probably got some years on you, Chris, but I've got brilliant memories of boxing, waking up or staying up till 2, 3 a.m, going down to a venue to watch Mike Tyson, with his boxing, and he's a legend for me. He's number one for me. Memories, of that is just boxing all over for me, and love the Eubank and the Ben fights as well growing up. That was very much part of my era. Who were your influences?
Definitely Tyson. So one of the first real boxing matches I really saw and remember is Tyson walking out of prison, being released from prison, and having his first fight come back, which was against Frank Bruno. And he just absolutely massacred him in about 3 rounds or less. I can't remember which round it was, but it was like a 13-punch combo and just knocked Frank Bruno out. And it was just incredible. And I was like, wow, boxing is amazing. And then one fight I really remember well was Chris Eubank, Ben, which was great. And then Ben and I'm trying to remember his name. I think it was McCullen. I can't remember his name. McClellan. That's it. Oh wow, what a fight that was! Such a tragedy with what happened, but what an amazing, fight, because Ben was getting absolutely battered, falling through ropes, and he was the champion. And then he caught McClellan with a good couple punches, and that was the start of the brain trauma he had, and it was really sad. But I remember watching that live. That fight was actually at our sort of time because it was over here, but the Frank Bruno fights were the Tyson fights and Nassim Hamed. All those fights were 4 a.m. jobs, which we used to wake up as a family. And I remember watching Mike Tyson and Holyfield and 4 a.m., all of us being up watching this fight. And it was, it was crazy. But we'd done that. That was one fond memory I have with the family. And that was the first sort of experiences I had of boxing.
Great memories,
Definitely.
thinking back and
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
of all those fights you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very clear still in my mind, you know
Yeah.
that. So what age was you when you put your first pair of gloves on?
Well, we've always been a boxing family as such. My oldest brother boxed actually when I was about 10 years old. He was 16, and he was heavily involved in boxing, and he was going to Brixton every day. Carlton Warren was his trainer, and Carlton Warren lost narrowly to Michael Watson. And Michael Watson went on to big things, and my brother was really heavily involved, and he was going for it, and he wasn't even going to have an amateur career. They wanted to turn him pro straight away, but things happened in life, and he never quite done it. He kind of lost a love for it, and he moved on, went down the academic route. And then there was about 6 years or 7 years past that our family, no one did any boxing. I mean, I put on a pair of gloves just as, as kids, socks really, and having fights with my brothers. But we never really officially went to any boxing club until I was 17. And then I laced up my gloves, and that was it. Because I think I had watched it growing up, I was quite natural, because I've, monkey see, monkey do. I was a kid and I was absorbing the way they stand, and I was quite natural at it. And then I went full pelt into boxing. And then at 18 years old, I decided I'm not going to go university. I'm going to train and go gym every day and be a boxer, and try and pursue that dream.
And how did you feel stepping into the ring for the first time?
For the first time, my first amateur fight was at Harrow All Stars Boxing Club. It's not actually in Harrow, it's on Harrow Road, which is not in Harrow, but we were there, and that was an old school boxing club, and I remember it clear as day, and all my friends and family were there, and it was weird. It was like, I'm ready for this fight. I'm over ready for my first fight, and I won, and it was a great feeling. It was a really great feeling to have my first fight and get that out of the way.
Was there fear, excitement? What was it?
I had no idea then what I was going to feel. It was my first fight. I had a bit of excitement, and obviously nerves, but I wasn't scared at all. Like, I never had any fear, because I've never had a fight in the boxing ring. I've had sparring, but it was great. I loved it, and I won on points, and everyone called me back then. My mum actually said it first. It was like I was like a bullet, because I was very quick, and my technique was very fast. Da 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 da. And that's when they called, my mum was like, I'm like a bullet, bullet boy. Bullet
So is
kid,
that where
whatever.
Flash came from?
Well, no, Flash came later. Flash came from when I went to New York, and
That's your nickname?
my
just
nickname
in
was
case.
the Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not because I looked Flash, but I was fast. But that came from when I went to New York, America, like really for the first time, and I was sparring, and one of the coaches was like, yo, you're as fast as lightning, and I think you're like the Flash. And that was it. Everyone in the gym, because I was staying there for about 2.5 months, I was there every day. They never called me by my name, Chris. They called me Flash. You're Flash, blah blah. So that became my nickname. And then I brought it back to England, and that's when the boxing sort of alter ego came. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Nice,
So I never gave it
name,
myself.
Yeah.
I never gave myself a nickname. Someone gave it to me.
It arrived on you.
Yeah.
So, I've done some kickboxing, some MMA, and, even at that very low level, when I do it, I'm totally focused. There's nothing else, whatever could be going on in my day, however bad or good it could be, there's just total focus there. And, I walk out of there feeling great, energized, rebalanced. And how did boxing, or what did boxing do for your mental well-being or physical well-being?
Well, first of all, the physical well-being, obviously, it was amazing to just train. I was training every day, and then slowly your body changes, and people notice I'm becoming more lean, and you become a boxer. You're shaped to your environment, and I was very muscular and athletic. And a teacher I had in my drama class, she left on maternity leave and then came back, and she was like, "Oh my God, Chris, you've lost so much weight," because she never saw me for a year, and I was a year into training. So that was that side. Obviously, it's, it gives you your health, and I was fit and healthy in that aspect. But for my mental side, I think what boxing does, because especially sparring, when you're on the bag or pads or whatever, your brain can wander a little bit. But sparring, because there's an element of danger, it puts you in the now, in the present, because you're watching for the next second of when that punch is going to come, when you can hit. So you don't think about anything else. You're not anxious or feeling depressive thoughts from the past because you're not thinking of the past, you're not thinking anxiously because of the future, you're literally put into now because of the current danger, the imminent danger that can happen. And that's what boxing done for me. It made me feel like, right, I'm here in the moment, I'm having a fight, and it grounded me and it put me in that present. So that's what I feel was the biggest thing that boxing done for me at that time, for my mental health anyway.
And it's interesting you say it put you in the present, because if you sit down with a lot of one-to-one therapists, what they, I suppose, when they talk, it will often come up about the here and now, as in now, what's going on now, not what's happened in the past, what may happen in the future. How you feeling now, which is right at the beginning, you know, when we start our conversation, how you feeling?
Yeah.
You know, because it's busy and it's stressful life, and we forget about what's going on now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
boxing
100%.
really focused that for you, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. And then I realized when I stopped boxing or whatever happened, and I had to stop boxing for a while, kind of lose that, and you kind of start thinking about the past and then the future, and you lose that kind of being in the present feeling, because that was the tool I used to put me here and you know, not have anxiety or whatever. So that's one thing that boxing definitely done for me.
So it helped with your anxiety?
Yeah, definitely.
In what way?
It was a bit of a double-edged sword. In one way, it helped me with my anxiety of my day-to-day life and stresses of life and relationship problems or family problems and stuff. But then later on, it caused a bit of anxiety because the pressure got bigger, fights got bigger. I'm being televised. You know, there's pressure to win titles. There's pressure to perform. More eyes on me. More Twitter people talking crap, and more social media problems or trolls or whatever. So you become more well known. The more well known you are, the more open to attack, I would say, by the public or whoever. But so I think it was a bit of a double-edged sword. But boxing done more good for me than bad in my life.
And did you have a nutritionist at the time?
I did, yeah. I mean, in the beginning, no. I had to source that myself, and I had to kind of like listen to my coaches. My coach is very old school. Basically, just make weight. I don't care how you do it. Starve yourself if you have to, but just make weight. But then now the science is it's progressed so much that you make weight safer. You know, they realize that, you know, it's not just about making weight, but it's about performance. Maybe I was at the wrong weight. You know, I wish I had a nutritionist a bit sooner, because they would have told me you need to move up weights a bit sooner. Like I was at the same weight for like nearly 10 years,
right,
when I was 17 to when I was 27 nearly. So imagine trying to make the same weight when your body's growing, your bones are getting more dense, your organs are growing, your body's, you know, is getting heavier. So it got harder and harder to make the same weight, you know. So that was, you know, that was a mistake I made. I would definitely go back and hire a nutritionist a bit earlier on, definitely.
And did DNA testing ever come into the equation?
DNA testing to see what better suited you are for training and things like that. Do you know what? Someone approached me with that very early on, like when I was just starting my pro career, but there wasn't very much research on that then. But now, yeah, I mean, like, you know, they do these DNA tests, and they're like, well, you're better suited for strength training and getting fit this way, as opposed to long distance running might not be as good for you, for example. Just an example. But now it's a lot more. The science has definitely progressed than from when I was a fighter.
And that's exactly what you said there. We've got Simon on our part of our retreat team, and he's an expert on DNA and the gut and nutrition. So whether you're a sports person, whether an amateur, professional, or just going to the gym, just living your daily life, that's what DNA testing allows you to do, because our DNA isn't going to change like our blood sugar levels.
No.
And it allows you to see the type of muscles, the type of exercises you might do, whether you've got better fast twitch muscles or
exactly.
depending on what athletes, but also what you're eating as well. So, you know, if you're trying to get your omega-3 nutrients and you at salmon, and you might think, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing to get the right nutrients for a fight or to train. Well, for most people that would be true, but for someone like you might be one of those people that can't absorb it through salmon, so you have to supplement your food into something else. So it's very much like you say, the science has improved so much over the years, and I think it makes a difference, not just if you're a sports person, but general life. You can adapt.
Better. Well, you know, your life standard of living in yourself, your health will go up, because you know your body. Like some people, you know, they're always bloated, and then they realize, oh my goodness, I'm not allergic, but I'm intolerant to apples. Who would have known? But unless they're educated with it, because everyone's different. You know, some things I can't eat and others can. But yeah, no, definitely the science has definitely got a lot further from back in the day when I was training. You know, sometimes I wish it was better back then, but you know, you can only live in the time you live in, right?
Well, exactly, and that's what we hope to bring that awareness to people visiting us, whether it's the boxing retreat or the sports performance or the stress and wellbeing retreat. By having that awareness and discovering what it is about you that you can change, hopefully makes that difference. So, you had a successful career in boxing. What was your first defeat like?
Do you know what? My first defeat, well, as an amateur and a pro, they were a little bit different. My first defeat as an amateur was against my first southpaw that I fought, and I'd done very well. If anything, that fight was just so good because it was like a chess match, and we were both very technical, and a lot of people, it was a tournament, it was in Crystal Palace, a lot of people actually called up my coach and said, wow, how many fights has your boy had? And I only had 2 at the time, and they were like, he was like, you know, he's very good, but I never got that. I just felt like I had lost, so that's all I'd done. But that fight taught me a lot because I lost to a southpaw. I went in gym the next day, and that was it. I was like, I'm going to learn how to be a southpaw. And then the next tournament I had 4 southpaws in a row, and I knocked 2 of them out and beat the other 2, and I won the ABA championships that year. But if I never experienced that loss before, maybe I wouldn't have been as good. Now I love fighting southpaws because I became a bit of a southpaw jinx because, you know, usually you don't, you know, usually you struggle against southpaws, but I actually like it because I know how to beat a southpaw better. So yeah, it was a bit of a weird one, that one. I cried for like 5 days, my first defeat as an amateur, which was, you know, I've tainted my record. I'm not undefeated anymore. But my first defeat as a pro was actually a very harsh one to swallow because I literally, you know, and it's on YouTube, and bless my opponent, Danny Connor, you know, we talk now on social media a little bit, so nothing to him, but I boxed so well that night, and to be honest, I thought I boxed his ears off, and even to this day I have people telling me.
I've got Danny sitting next to you for this one.
Danny, yeah, I have Danny sitting next to me for this one, yeah. But you know, it was a clear robbery. It was a robbery in front of everyone. Sky Sports, you know, Alexandra Palace. So, you know, loads of tickets. Pressure on. But I loved it. I trained at the Mayweather gym for that fight and in Vegas, and I was so ready for that fight. And I literally boxed so well. It was probably one of my best performances. And they took the fight from me that night. And you know, even to this day, you could watch the replay and the slow motions of all of what Sky Sports
I bet you've watched it a few times.
Yeah, and all the slow motions cut together. And there wasn't one of him hitting me, it was all me hitting him, and it wasn't biased, it was just all the power punches, and they gave him the fight that night, and okay, you know, he became champion, which was well done to him, but that was a really sour taste in my mouth, that one. And that actually was a night that my whole career changed, because in boxing a loss is a big deal, unfortunately, even though it shouldn't, but you know, I lost my undefeated record, and yeah, and it was a hard pill to swallow, that one.
I can hear you drawing breath, talking about it. I can see you smiling through it, but and at the beginning you said, you know, well, you learn and how to fight southpaw. So the learning process is after, and you know, that's great, and for you to come back and learn and, you know, get over that and progress. But at that time, especially against Danny, with that defeated, fought well, maybe unfair result. How did you manage that? How did you manage those feelings? What happened there?
It was a weird one, because I had so many messages after that fight. I had people from America, because it was televised in America as well, that fight, and so many people saw it, and it was live on Sky Sports on Saturday night. I was walking down the street and people were like, "Oh, you're that boxer from Saturday. Oh man, you were robbed. I can't believe it. Like, I don't know how they came up with that decision." And the ref who judged that fight, was part of the judging. I don't think he judged another professional fight after that. He went on to another boxing board. It wasn't the British Boxing Board of Control, because we appealed, and the British Boxing Board of Control did say, look, we can see the argument for it, Rod, but unfortunately we can't turn the decision. And it is what it is. And I had that mark on my record, but how did I deal with it? I think because I boxed so well, and Spencer Oliver and Johnny Nelson on Sky Sports in the studio, when it went back to them, they were like, Evangelou won that fight. Evangelou definitely 100% won that fight. And when they were saying that, it was like, I was really proud of myself that even though I never got the decision, everyone saw that it was a clear robbery. And it was sad because I would have held the Southern Area title that night and then gone. And then I was actually, Eddie Hearn went to the British champion, Darren Hamilton at the time, was British champion. And Eddie Hearn went up to his manager and said, how about we have Evangelou and Darren on the next show for the British title? So my next fight after that would have been for the British title. I mean, imagine that. That would have been incredible, but it never happened. And God or the universe, whatever is out there that guided my life, decided that was going to be what happened. And, everything happens for a reason. And who knows what would have happened, good or bad after that. But I just trust that my life is here today, and that was part of my story.
And also part of your story, which was another challenge, was the way your career finished.
Yeah, after that. I mean, I carried on after, and I went through a very hard time. I do say it was depression, and I spiraled negatively after that, because it's kind of a bit weird. On my record, it's like those losses in a row, and it didn't really show my ability as a boxer, because people just see the color red for the L loss on the box rec, but then they don't see the next 4 wins in a row, which I finished with 4 good wins in a row with a first round knockout, and I'm making a comeback. But my mental health and well-being got the better of me, and being injured as well when I broke my hand in my title fight, which I won that night, which was a rocky story. I broke my hand in the first round, and I won the belt that night at the York Hall. And Don Charles at the time, my coach, took the mic out of the MC's hand after the fight, and he was like, I just want everyone to know that Evangelou Chris, he broke his hand in the first round and he carried on. None of you realised that, but he broke his hand and he won the fight with one hand. And it was an emotional night. But then I was left with a broken hand. Fought again one more time, but it just wasn't healing. Again, with my mental health, at the same time, the doctor said, look, my surgeon said, look, take time out of boxing. Take time, not 3 weeks, not a month. Take a good amount of time, because you're damaging your hand. It's not going to heal, and go and do something else with your life. And that's when I found acting. And I actually never went back to boxing after that professionally. I stayed as an actor.
That sounds like such a difficult journey. You achieved so much. I sense there's a feeling of it could have been more.
100%, yeah. I was tipped to be, by a lot of coaches. They were like, I could go all the way. I could be a world champ in a few years. And every time I went to a different country, like Vegas or LA, they wanted to sign me in, the Wildcard Gym, and amazing. And I had amazing coaches. Jesse Reed, Freddie Roach did my sparring, a few times. And then I went to the Mayweather Gym, and one of the coaches there wanted me to stay. And who knows, I could have been part of the TMT crew and fight for Mayweather Promotions, but something wasn't right, and it wasn't meant to be.
What support was you offered at that point? And I'm thinking about therapy.
Yeah, no, I never really had therapy then at all. Just had very few friends. My family, my immediate family, were there for me. I had a lot of pressure because my brother, my dad, they were so proud of me being a boxer that it was like, I felt like I had let them down because I stopped boxing, which was really hard for me to take. Me and my brother were really close at that time, and then me and my dad were really close. But then when I stopped boxing, that kind of relationship kind of dissolved a little bit then. It's sort of come back now, but it was very hard at that time, because that's when I turned to acting, and I'm starting at the beginning of a ladder that, is new. And I was up there as a boxer. I could easily walk into boxing and get another title fight within or, you know, if I asked my dad or whatever, get my next fight needs to be a title fight, a big title fight, I probably could have got that. But just something in me wasn't drawing me to do that. I never had that passion to do it. The fire went down.
Well, it sounds like your resilience and discipline, you know, has had a big part through your journey, you know, to, go with the highs and all the successes you've had, but also to be able to deal with the lows.
Yeah.
Just sensing that there was a point there where you could have done maybe with some additional support or help, especially the way...
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Especially kind of like the decision to kind of take time out of boxing. I wish it was then I could have had some sort of therapy, but I didn't. I looked at acting and the gym, actually. I went back to the gym because after boxing, I kind of went downhill with the way I looked and my fitness, and there was other reasons why, but that wasn't great. And then when I became an actor, I said, right, I'm going to become an actor. That was the goal. That was the beacon. That was the light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing of what I'm going towards. So that was kind of like my therapy, going gym every day, but not boxing training. I went to pure gym to weight train every day and get myself back to looking good again, which is what I had sort of not given up looking good, but given up training, given up the healthier side of my life. And I was training every day to doing nothing for a few months, and I lost that feeling of strength, you know.
Well, you definitely rolled with the punches, which is, you know,
definitely took a few
in your journey. So for people out there thinking or struggling maybe with their mental health or stress or feeling burnt out or just need something to re-energize, what's boxing going to offer them?
Boxing is a great way for like any sort of mental health where it's negative, where it's stress related, where you need to vent, where you might be having you know, it's not just exercise, because exercise lets off those endorphins that make you feel good, but also because you don't feel like you're training, because you're boxing, you're doing a sport, you know, you're learning a craft of boxing and fighting. It's a bit more fun. So you kind of bypass the feeling that you're just exercising like you might do on a treadmill or in a fitness class or whatever it is. But boxing sort of allows you to vent and just take out the stresses. And I've had, you know, when I train people as well, I've had people having relationship problems, I've had people having job problems, family problems, just life, you know, problems, and they always just feel so much better after the session. You know, and every time they come to me, sometimes I have one guy who comes to me every time, he just does not have a smile on his face. He comes to me and he's like, oh man, I've had the worst day. And after about 20 minutes of training, they're laughing, they're happy, they're smiling, we're having a joke, you know, I'm talking to them about other things and telling them about things I'm up to, and then they're talking to me, and then at the end of it, they always leave with a smile on their face, you know, and that's the main thing. And I think, you know, I feel like I'm like the therapist sometimes, so it's good.
Well, you are.
Yeah.
And this is at your gym, the Fit Factory in
Cockfosters?
Yeah.
The Fit Factory, we get a lot of, you know, people there, different walks of life and different, you know, it's good, it's great members.
And what do you do when you need to relax these days?
I train as well. Sometimes I train at my gym, sometimes I train at Pumping Iron. A good friend of mine, Zach, owns in New Southgate, and sometimes I just want to get away as well and just be on my own, put my headphones in and just train and do my weight training and stuff, because as an actor, you've got to look, like, especially the roles I go for are very athletic. Either it's fighting or it's like, I'm always usually typecasted a little bit as a gang member or whatever, which is cool, I like it, or playing a boxer, but I've always got to look the part. So again, my goal is to always be in shape. So I go and do some weight training and stuff, and that always makes me feel like I'm walking in, you know, on cloud nine.
So serious question now. How come, and I think I know what the answer might be, but how come you've still got your good looks even though you're a boxer?
Well, I wouldn't say I do, but I was called the Flash for a reason. I never used to get hit too much. There were a couple of fights which I looked like I'd been hit by a baseball bat a few times, but I don't know. I think it was just my style of fighting. It was very much Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Roy Jones. You know, don't get hit, make them miss, make them pay, boom, but not stay there and trade with them and not do a Ricky Hatton job where I don't mind getting hit. I actually minded getting hit. So, you know, I think it was just my style, I guess. But thank you, it's very kind of you.
Yeah, I thought you'd answer something along those lines. I thought I'd ask. So, you know, we're going to be talking about stress and wellbeing on the retreat. There's going to be a sports performance, and maybe a boxing retreat we've spoke about as well. And this can help not just boxers, but a range of athletes, whether you're doing rugby, football, looking at nutrition, mind, body, spiritual as well, because it's all connected. So really looking forward to that. And it's been an absolute pleasure having you here today to talk boxing and, how you rolled with the punches as well, and how maybe it can help our watchers out there who are thinking of taking up a physical activity, maybe thinking of taking boxing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really happy that I came today and we were able to discuss these topics and stuff. So I hope it helps anyone out there, even if it's just one person, then we've done our job today. So yeah, I'm really happy.
Well, good luck with your endeavours. I know you're very busy in your acting career.
Getting there.
Yeah.
I love it. So yeah, it's good.
So Chris, thank you very much for joining us. This is Andreas Patikis, your fellow traveller on life's journey, signing out.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any thoughts, feelings or reflections on today's podcast, please leave them on the comments section on our website or social media channels. You can find more episodes and information at www.thegreycotswolds.co.uk. This is Andreas Patikis, your fellow traveller on life's journey, signing off.